Hello everyone, my name is Emblem and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going through what I've been up to in the second half of July. While it's probably not as many quests as I've done previously, some of these are quite important and long. So, buckle down, get ready, and here we go. First things first, although it's not a quest, we did need to finish up our Easy Ardougne diaries, which just required our cat to get a few more percentage of growth, and gave us a fully grown one. We then head right on over to West Ardougne, talk to one of the civilians, and we just have to bring up the dialogue option for selling cat, not actually sell it. So hooray, it's still available for other quests that require cats. We then head directly to Dr. Orban, turn in our achievements, and receive our cape. And of course, our free teleport to the Ardougne Monastery, which is a good emergency teleport if I ever find myself in a tricky spot. Like last time. I just set up a hotkey for Alt plus G, which I use in regular G for my food, and I can get out of any situation, hopefully before I actually die. And now we move on to our actual quests. The first one I thought of was I wanted to go ahead and start heading down our gnome path from last time, and that starts with the Grand Tree. So we head over to the king over in the gnome stronghold, and find out that the tree is dying. He sends us to find a ancient gnome named Hazelmere, who only speaks in Old Tongue, and with our handy-dandy notebook of translations, we're supposed to talk to him and figure out what exactly is going on. Thankfully, I'm pretty familiar with where he is, for some reason or another, but they also give you pretty clear directions. So, after talking to him, he gives us thankfully a note that we can just quickly reference and begin our translation, which thankfully only took just a few minutes, and gives us a message like this. A man came to me with the king's seal. I gave the man Draconia rocks. Draconia rocks will kill the tree. That sounds like a problem, so we head right back to King Narnod and give him the message line by line, just to make sure we actually decoded it. And he tells us to go see his advisor, Glow. Unfortunately for us, Glow does not like us, or humans at all, it appears, and just sends us away. Heading back to King Narnod, we're told there was an intruder who was captured, and heading up to talk to him, we find out that Glow is the one potentially behind all of this, as he is the one who gave him orders. Going to confront Glow, we are instead arrested immediately and thrown into prison next to the other guy, who begins to tell us a little more information and tells us of a shipyard over on Karamja. Thankfully, King Narnod comes up and tells us that he believes it was just a simple mistake that we were thrown in jail. So he allows us to escape, and we immediately head over to Karamja, find the shipyard, and begin talking to the foreman in this area to see exactly what his connection to Glow is. But first, we have to convince him that we work for Glow as well, which we managed to do. After proving our loyalties, he gives us Glow's order, which shows a lot of battleships. We then quickly return to Gnome Stronghold to inform the king, only to find out that we are barred entry. Thankfully though, Femi out front decides to help us out and smuggle us inside. I then spend far too long looking for Glow's girlfriend, who has been mentioned a few times, to see if she had any more evidence that she could give me, only to eventually discover I needed to go speak to the prisoner again, who then directs me to the girlfriend for a chest key. Ignoring Glow in his own home, we open up the chest and find his actual invasion plans, which we then bring to the king, only to find that when his place was searched for more evidence, all they found was some strange sticks. Of course, those sticks look a lot like letters, and thanks to our handy-dandy translation guide, we look up the word for open, and find out that it is Tuzo, and manage to open up the trapdoor within his house, which we immediately head down and follow after Glow, who has started to disappear, only to be confronted by him and a very angry black demon. Thankfully, I remembered that this boss should be safe spottable, so I brought some somewhat ranged gear with my necromancy equipment. Unfortunately, it's not the highest level, but eventually we get it down, and Glow disappears into a crack in the wall. We then, of course, are free to explore a little bit, and following the path, we find King Narnode and the roots of the tree once more. He tells us that we should look around as the Draconia rocks have not all been found just yet. And quickly searching around, we find the last one, return it to the king, and complete our quest in 42 minutes and 16 seconds. Whew, quite a long one. This one does give a combat lamp worth a lot of experience, which I decided to put on our range levels just to jump us out of those early stages and get us to the level required for Underground Pass. In addition, I noticed our Necromancy was really close to level 30, and our equipment isn't the greatest at the moment. So I figured I'd go ahead and get the level, and then finally go and upgrade all this equipment to level 30 all at once. So we head on over to and find Killy, who gives us a task to unlock the level 30 requirements, which luckily all you gotta do is just 2 communion rituals. Or some other stuff, but I figured the rituals would be the easiest. So head on over and get those done real quick, and return, and finally see what exactly we need to get the level 30 equipment done. Which thankfully wasn't too bad. At least for the weapons. For the weapons, you just need 2 enchanted bars, which you gather together 3 low tier bars into the unenchanted one, do the ritual, get the special material, upgrade them real quick. The armor, however, especially since I never did the level 20, now means I need 14 of the special cloth, which is going through the ritual with a piece of spider silk armor, and that takes quite a bit of time. However, I go ahead and gather up all 14 pieces that I need. I just make a couple boots since I've stacked up on some spider silk in the bank, and began the long and arduous process of over an hour to get it all converted. With all those rituals, we end up actually getting 35 necromancy, but we have everything together in our inventory right here, so we just take it all off and begin crafting it into the tier 30 versions. And just like that, we have a full set of much better necromancy gear. With that done, it's now time for the main event. The true reason to go down the gnome path is to do monkey madness. And so start it we do. King Narnode lets us know that a special squadron of gnomes has been sent to the old shipyard to go decommission it, but he wants us to go check on the progress. Heading over, we talk to the Shilo Karnak, who is in charge, and find out that the squad hasn't made it. But he does warn us about some southerly winds that have been happening recently. Returning back to the king, he informs us to let his new advisor, Darrow, in on the situation, who wants us to help out. And in order to do that, our first step is to be taken to a super secret location, which happens to be a hidden glider hangar. Once there, we're introduced to Commander Wadar, and are told in order to unlock these high-grade gliders, we need to first solve a special code that has been installed. But of course, the first issue for me is finding the control panel, because they mentioned something red, and I go through the entire hangar without actually seeing it. Eventually I do spot it though, and we begin. And our actual secret code is a 5x5 slider puzzle, which you will often find in clue scrolls. However, the difference between this one and the clue scrolls is this one doesn't tell you what the final picture is. I quickly begin making my way through it. Thankfully, I know how to do these slider puzzles without any sort of guide, but it still takes me quite a while. Especially since I don't know what tiles go where on this very samey looking puzzle. And I do end up messing up 2 spots that I have to go back and redo. And I also had to keep clicking back to the puzzle because it would take me out of it because I was clicking too quickly. But eventually we get it done, and it only took us 13 minutes and 35 seconds for the puzzle itself. Although that is certainly longer than some of the quests we've done. However, that we finally get access to the gliders, I can make our way to the crashed island, where we meet Lumdo, who refuses to take us to the island where the rest of the squad until we have weighed our full rank. And we are finally dropped off on Apatoll, which thankfully has some pineapple plants here because I did not bring any food with me. But we see this large gate in the distance and begin making our way to it, only to be knocked unconscious by poisonous arrows, and wake up in jail. However, we do find 3 of the gnome squad here. They tell us a little bit more about what's going on, and aren't ecstatic about our chances of making it out, but we do eventually get through. Once out, I do barely remember where the squad captain is from all of those years ago, and immediately go to see him, and he immediately tells us to go find his mage. That's because his plan involves us speaking to the king of the monkeys, and in order to do that, we'll have to speak like a monkey and look like a monkey. However, I know the mage is in an extremely dangerous cave system, and that I need to get everything beforehand. Otherwise, I'm going to have a really bad time. The first step in my plan is therefore to gather all the types of monkey bones that I could possibly want. That way, I only need to go and get the Grigories made once. So we get the little ninja for the agility course, we get the gorilla, we get the small zombie monkey, we get this large zombie monkey, and we try not to die in the process. Which is a lot harder than you might think, as I was extremely low, no food, and protection prayers only bring you half damage, not full immunity. And so I get so close. But thankfully I make it out and manage to not die. And a few pineapples nearby later, and we're looking alright. I remembered this storage area, which should have some of the stuff we need, and I get super lucky here, as I'm searching through crates seeing if there's anything I need, and that sleeping monkey, I assume, isn't going to move. However, there he goes off to the side, and I try and run away, but apparently he has already spotted me, but I can go through the door and not get killed. But what really helps is our little spy friend is actually able to kill him, and after waiting just a little bit for the monkey to spawn, I can go back in, pick up the bones, and continue searching. I immediately find this special crate in the corner, which allows me to go down into the basement, and so down I go. And this place is full of crates, and eventually, after checking nearly everyone, I finally find the monkey amulet mold, and I believe that was all I needed. However, to get out of here, since I didn't want to just teleport away, I tried going through the top rooftops. And as I come down this ladder, I get stuck because they don't let you walk through the monkey guards. And so I try to kill this one real quick, thinking it'll be just fine. Because yeah, they hit through the prayer, but I have plenty of health at the moment. Only for him to start doing this and healing constantly. I hit him over and over and over again, but it's just not doing anything, and my health is getting lower and lower. Got real close there, but it's just not working. So eventually I decide this isn't going to happen. So I climb up the stairs, try not to die, and teleport away in the end. Thankfully, that little accident makes us go and grab some lobsters, which is a good thing because this tunnel was probably would have killed us without them. It is a long and arduous process, but eventually we make it to the end, speak to Zunok, only to find out we're still missing some pieces. I know we can't get the Grieger yet, but I forgot monkey dentures. So we go get captured once again, break out of jail, and head back to the storage area, checking the northeast of it this time, and finally finding those monkey dentures. I have no luck finding the way back to the other half of the island, so I teleport away, walk all the way back to the Cave of Death, find Zunok once more, and be given the special enchanted bar in order to make our Monkey Speak amulet. Thankfully for this one, I remember where to go to actually make the amulet, because for some reason, that one sticks in my memory. Not the monkey dentures, though. Anyway, we finally get our Monkey Speak amulet and tell this child that we are his uncle, and we just want to see his toy, which thankfully is our Gregory, but we need several of them. 6 to be exact. So begins a rather sad cycle for the monkey baby as we steal his toy, tell him we lost it, make him cry, do a loop around the house, and then get another one from him. I actually end up getting 7 of them because I think maybe you can do the skeletal zombie. Turns out you can't, but I didn't know that at the time. But it also gives us a free extra Gregory at Zunok, in case we ever need it. I try not to teleport off the island this time. However, that Gravekeeper is a menace and doesn't let you actually cross this place to get to the other side, because every time I tried, I got caught and sent to jail. I tried several times, but I ended up just having to teleport away in the end, which was quite frustrating. But we go through the Cave of Death for the 3rd time, and hopefully the last time, find Zunok once more, and begin making our various Gregories. Or at least we will, once we get through this special cutscene, letting us know that Wadar's a traitor and wants us dead. After that, we quickly get our Gregories all together, and fun fact if you didn't know, in RuneScape 3, you can use the Gregories on each other and have them combine together into one special Gregory that you can just swap between the type of monkey you want at any time. With that done, we return to the captain and get told to speak with King Awawoge to gain his trust, so we can learn what the monkeys are up to. So we go find his commander Crook, get permission to see him, and then save some monkeys from our Ardon in order to gain his trust. Well, twice, because first time it disappeared on me. With our newly freed Captain Monkey, he agrees to a truce between the Apatol monkeys and the ones in Karamja. We then see him go into a meeting with Glow's compatriots, where they discuss killing the 10th squad that we're working with. Returning to the leader of said squad, he comes up with a plan to have us join them by giving us a fake emblem of the 10th squad to make us temporarily join. Once there, we're confronted with an evil jungle demon, which we quickly take out, and we return to the king to let him know of the entire story, and we complete our quest in a whopping 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 53 seconds. Whew, quite the ordeal. We also quickly return to Darrow to get some combat training and get us some buffer stats. I decided to focus on the strength and constitution. After that grueling quest, I decided to take it easy on the next one and went to fulfill my beginning promise with the start of the series to go help Violet, and began Violet is Blue. Our first task is to escort her home, which is a little difficult when she keeps throwing snow boulders at us that are surprisingly difficult to dodge. We then follow her to a nice cozy little cabin, only to find 2 Yetis inside, who are apparently raising her. And they want us to help her out by taking her to the Yeti Festival, which she's never gone to before. But she's so excited to actually go for once. So we help her pack up her stuff, and with her Yeti father, we begin our journey to the Yeti Festival itself. However, our trip is not smooth sailing. Our first issue is a dark pathway which we use some fireflies to light up the way. Our next is a bunch of headless golems running around, which we pelt with snowballs to give them actual heads. Next is an iced over lake that is cracked and broken, but Violet's yells give it a little extra oomph. Followed quickly by a sliding puzzle, which I do quite enjoy myself. Finally, we build up a sled using some spare parts scattered around, give her a smooth ride into the festival where she can make a splash, and we complete our quest in 31 minutes and 41 seconds. After finishing up in the cold, I decided to head to a more warm climate, and decided to do the Shilo Village quest, since I noticed that I could get that done, and it would unlock a new area. We're told that Rashilia has cursed the town so that none may enter, and we need to find Trufitus and have him help us out. Unfortunately, Trufitus, after the Jungle Potion quest, still wants us to talk to the head of the village, who we take a little bit of time to find, and accidentally start the Type of 1 trio quest as well, which I really didn't mean to do because I don't have the requirements for yet. Oh well, we get that started and return to Trufitus, and he begins to tell us the legend of Rashilia. He mentions to us a ancient temple which should have been dedicated to the kingdom from the past that we now have to try and find. He gives us some vague clues, but it is going to be quite a trek. My first thought is a location on Cairn Isle. I remember there being something to do there, although it is a pain to get to. Unfortunately, nothing that I do allows me to get inside this temple, so it's probably not correct just yet. While I'm there, though, I do find Tensei, which is one of the three brothers from the Type of 1 Trio quest, and he just asks for some banana rum. While I'm exploring the island, trying to find this ancient temple, I go and pick up some rum and a banana. I then continue exploring the island before returning to Tensei, just to see if I can find anything, and no luck so far. I then decide to go ahead and return to Tensei and give him his banana rum. The next thing he asks for, though, is a seaweed stuffed monkey. Of course, I find seaweed pretty easily, and then get a monkey corpse, putting the seaweed in the monkey. But that is not what he wants, because he wants something with less flesh. However, I could not figure out how to skin the monkey, and never did. So that puts that quest on the back burner until I actually have the requirements for it. If you do know how to skin a monkey, though, feel free to let me know. In any event, I continue to explore the island, hoping to stumble across this ancient temple. I know he mentions bodies of water, so I checked out the Moss Giant Island. I also attempted to speak to every single villager in the Type of 1 village, just to see if anyone could have a hint for me. After over an hour, over by the Vine Maze, a waterfall sticks out to me and jogs my memory a little bit that yes, there is in fact something there. And lo and behold, we finally find our hole, which leads into our temple. We find a small tunnel, which leads into a crevice, which we squeeze into to finally make our way actually inside. We find several pieces of ancient information, making sure to read them as we go, and eventually find a pillory where a dead body has been hung, and we take its bones. Trifrutus finally has more information for us, and tells us that we should bury the bones in a sacred location, like in the center of the village. After doing so, we have a ghost appear to us, thanking us. The ghost then gives us a bone shard, saying it will be a key to unlocking the temple in the future. We also are given some more information to head towards the Cairn Isle location that I was trying to get into earlier, but this time we can actually get inside, where there's an altar containing several key items for us once again. Trifrutus gives us more information once more, and really he is super helpful throughout this quest, before giving us a clue on where we can find Rashilia's resting place. On my way there, I'm thinking about how to create the necklace that he said would protect us, before using the chisel that I happened to purchase just because nothing else was working, before trying to use it on the hilt, which actually allowed us to make the necklace we needed. We use the locator orb, which is telling us we're super close, and happen to spot it just a little bit deeper into the forest. Using our chisel trick once again, we make the key, which allows us to get inside and enter the tomb of Rashilia. Wandering around just a little bit, we quickly find a set of double doors, where one of the doors appears to be missing some bones, and eventually I figure out to turn off my tome of just so I can actually pick up the 3 sets of bones from the skeletons here, and open up the door, where we fight not 1, not 2, but 3 phases of the boss, before finally obtaining Rashilia's remains. We then quickly take those remains to the temple in Cairn's Isle, because we know that should put them to rest, which she thanks us for, and we finish our quest in 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 25 seconds, just because it took us so long to find it at first. But hey, we get access to Shilo Village, which is a high-tier Slayer Master along with precious gem rocks, which might be useful at some point. Finally, because I don't hate myself enough, I decided to do one more long quest before the month was out, and began Underground Pass. Some guy named Ivan has taken over the Underground Pass, which leads to the land of the elves, and so we have been tasked with the mission to take him out. In order to get through, we first have to shoot down this drawbridge, and go through these pitfalls where we have no clues as to which ones are real or fake, and then find a way to climb down this well. There are 4 orbs of light scattered throughout the area. Most of them aren't too difficult to get through, although this one did take me a while to actually find the trap beneath it. And then I got stuck on how to actually proceed from there. I tried draining my prayer and a bunch of other stuff just to try and be able to go down. Eventually, I went backwards a little bit and found the furnace, which actually allowed me to destroy the orbs. We then enter a jail-like area where I remember that you have to go to the first one on the left, and then enter an agility area where I actually managed to get through on the first try. Could have been a lot worse. We then come across a unicorn in a cage, which we take a piece of in order to roll a boulder onto it and crush it. We then come across some more life in these caves with some paladins that are exploring the area. Unfortunately, we have to kill them and sacrifice their badges to a well in order to pass through. We then enter the Cavern of Nightmares. I remember there's something about that witch's hut, so I attempt to cross over there, only to fall down for the first time, and enter the area with Solus. I quickly make a way to the dwarves that I remember, and begin speaking with them, before returning to the top and heading towards the witch's house. We find out that she is missing her cat, which we quickly try and find after falling a few more times, before entering her house and finding her darn cursed doll and book of secrets. Since we're nearby, I also go ahead and kill these demons over here, because I remember them being important for something, which unlocks the chest nearby and gives us a shadow. I then read through the book and see this coffin nearby, thinking it has another item, but it does not allow me entry, and reading the tomb nearby mentions something about ashes and dust. Unfortunately, as I try and figure this out, this happens. The entire game crashes as my internet provider went down for about 8 hours. Eventually, we come back to begin our journey once more. A little bit frustrated, but oh well, what can you really do? Thankfully, I remember basically where we were and kill this spider in order to smear the doll with some blood. I also remember something being in these cages, so I continue to look through them until I find the dead dove. Unfortunately, I did forget about the Clink's gauntlets that prevent you from taking damage every time, but oh well. I then spend quite a bit of time trying to figure out where the final item is, and even kill the Zamrock mages just to get the robes, and figure out that in order to enter inside the main chamber, you have to wear nothing but the robes. Unfortunately, despite all that work, I'm still missing the final piece and can't finish the quest quite yet. I know it has something to do with the coffin, and it mentioned ashes, so I grabbed some of those and brought them over. No effect. Mentioned Solus, so I spent a while killing them. I even went back to the previous area to see if I could draw up some well water with a bucket. An hour later, and giving up for the day, I returned the next, and began trying various things once more, before finally, I unfortunately had to give up and asked a friend for a tip, and got the advice of alcohol. Remembering the dwarf who gives you alcohol, and who I have spoken to numerous times by now, I then look into his shack and find this strange barrel, and try to use the bucket on it, and finally get what we need. Sorry to everyone who wants this to be completely blind, but unfortunately, sometimes I'm gonna have to get help every now and then. Finally, using all of our knowledge, we can quickly make our way to the well, and toss it in to defeat Ivan, getting his staff, and unfortunately losing out on the runes as my inventory was too full. But we go return to the king, report that he is defeated, and complete our quest after 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 49 seconds, or about 2 days. At least we got it done. I then did one more quick mini quest just for the end of the month for the Thieves Guild, where you just have to pickpocket a bunch of different groups, and finally unlocked the Thieves Shop, which will give us access to lockpicks at least in the future. Whoo boy. That was certainly a lot. Well, there weren't many quests that we did, they were certainly long and difficult ones. In any case, here's where our stats are looking like for the end of the month. We got some skills already in the 50s, most of them in the 30s or 40s. Divination's trailing behind at 29, but we also have a combat level of 64. I think this next 2 weeks I'm going to be focusing on some skill training and getting a few of those stats up for certain quests. In any case, I believe that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video, comment down below on things you want to see more of, and I will hopefully see you all next time.